And now we take a look at news stories making headlines around the globe. As the possibility of former President Goodluck Jonathan contesting the 2027 presidential election continues to heat up political discussions, a previously unpublished judgment delivered by a federal high court in Yenagoa, Bayelsa State, affirmed that Jonathan was well qualified to contest the presidential election. Two members of the APC in Bayelsa had gone to court in 2022 to determine Jonathan's position, given the high-stakes northern lobby to mobilize Jonathan to replace late President Muhammadu Buhari before the now President Tinubu eventually clinched the APC ticket. Aides to the former president said he's still consulting on whether to throw his hat in the ring for 2027. Sources close to the former president told This Day last night that he has been approached by 3 political parties, each wanting him to contest the presidency on their platforms. This calculation is based on the fact that Jonathan can only legally seek one more term and could assuage the feelings of northern voters who accuse President Tinubu of marginalization. In other news, Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Wike, yesterday said he was prepared to place a bet on President Bola Tinubu winning the 2027 presidential election in spite of the groundswell of opposition to his re-election. Wike made the assertion at a monthly media briefing in response to a recent prediction by former governor of Kaduna State, Nasiru El-Rufai, that Tinubu would suffer a major humiliation in the 2027 election by coming third in the first round of the poll, leading to a runoff without the president on the ballot. Wike said the defeat the opposition People's Democratic Party suffered in 2023 would be child's play compared to what it would face in 2027 if it nominated Peter Obi as its presidential candidate. He also urged former President Goodluck Jonathan to shelve his speculated presidential ambition in 2027 by being content with his status as an elder statesman and international peacemaker. Now, we'll move on to President Bola Tinubu yesterday declaring that in his over 2-year-old administration, no Nigerian was being regarded as second-class citizen, while no region was left behind in developmental efforts. Tinubu, in a verified post on his handle on X at official BAT, stressed that he was on oath to serve all Nigerians and not a particular section of the country. He listed several projects, including bridges, roads, rail, health centers, as well as power, agriculture and oil and gas schemes spread across the 6 geopolitical zones being executed by his government. Tinubu said his oath to serve all Nigerians, not a section, guides every bridge, road, rail, power and health project his government delivers. And I quote from his post. From the Lagos-Calabar Highway in the south to the Sokoto-Badagry Superhighway in the north, from Port Harcourt-Maiduguri Rail in the east to Abuja-Kaduna-Kano Expressway in the center, and the Trans-Saharan Highway connecting African countries, these are not local trophies. They are our national assets. All right, okay. First of all, let me say bonjour, Dr. Abati. Good to see you this lovely Tuesday morning. I know you have, flown to not Western, but countries where French language is spoken there. So I hope you picked some of the French for us today.
Once upon a time, yes. I used to speak French. I scored A2 in French in my school site examination. In University of Calabar, most of my electives were from French and philosophy. But, if you don't speak the language, you lose it.
Yeah.
And it's not a language you want to speak and people will laugh at you. But if you speak the language, I understand perfectly what you are saying.
So tell me, what don't you know, Dr. Abati? Maybe I shouldn't be asking you, what subject are you not versed in?
No. But I intend to go back to Alliance Française to take the diploma and then, get back. Ça va? And get back my French. But it's okay. It's okay.
Bon.
I can survive in any francophone country.
Excellent. All right.
But I wouldn't want them to laugh at me.
You're welcome back. Most welcome back.
Okay,
we missed you.
Thank you.
All right. Dr. Rufai, your take on these stories. It's a political morning today, and I think we're definitely on it. The race is on. It is hot to 2027. Your take on these stories.
Right, welcome back, Dr. Abati. He went for something really very important, apart from the French, which is to celebrate our dear compatriot, Dr. Akume Adesina, that was having his last day. Matter of fact, I was invited for that program too, but I know two of us not leave shop at the same time. So, I mean, it's good you went there, you did the book launch. Why we stay behind it. And I mean, you reviewed the book, why we stay behind here in shop. You know.
Books.
You know.
2 books.
To keep that. And,
almost 700 pages.
Yeah. And
you see, when I'm not on the set, I read and I write.
Yeah.
I have other things I do.
you
And
have a second address.
real quickly, Sidi Tall took the reins of office yesterday, the Mauritanian, and that's an end of an era. But definitely, Adesina's era is something we'll definitely review. Yeah. And kudos to him for all the good work he did while there. Okay, so the Jonathan push is on. Yes, the Jonathan push is on. We've seen a lot of people defend Goodluck Jonathan running. We've seen a lot of people made a strong case for him. Dr. Abati here that worked for him on the table has constantly, stylishly made a strong case for him, which is only apt. You know, once his boss, always his boss. And people are jittery. So for the likes of them, Kiamo and Wike, to come out and say, no, he should not run. And in fact, Kiamo went ahead to cite the fact that, oh, there's a provision in the Constitution. And I'm happy that the Jonathan camp has brought out a judgment that we did not even know that existed in the first place. And the judgment had not been appealed. Then Wike too said yesterday, oh, you should keep the position of an elder statesman and all of that. Yes, you know they are jittery. But you see, Wike also said many things yesterday, and that's the grouse I just have about all of this. A Jonathan running in the PDP, where Wike holds, would be a big problem for a Jonathan. And that's why those that are supporting him should look at this. Because with what I saw yesterday in the media charts, the PDP has not solved the Wike problem. It's still there, it's still rife. Wike was quoted to have said in that media chart that after we had done the work of fixing the party, somebody will now come. He said the same for Peter Obi, and he has a very strong point. You can hate him all you want. Oh, he was the one that scattered the party. They pushed the likes of Atiku Abubakar out with their wahala and everything. But you just thinking Jonathan will breeze in a party when them Wike reigns supreme and they fought for most of these things. It's not going to hold water. Because this was the same Jonathan that was being touted for the APC at a point. That was in the last election cycle before that ambition came to naught. So for all of those that think Jonathan will be able to have a quick inroad in a party that is largely dominated by a Wike, I think they should think again. And that's where we are going to have the battle royale. As regards, President Tinubu reacting to what was written in the papers, I'm talking about Daily Trust. I mean, we have cited the points that every region clamors and says, oh, projects have not been done here and there. The government has reacted to it. Normally, things like this are not supposed to generate reaction, but because the way the politicians themselves have skewed this nation across regional lines, and that's why these things have become a problem. At first, it was muted by Kwankwaso. Now, the Daily Trust doubled down on it. And what happened next? The presidency reacted to it. In the president's response, there were a couple of mistakes people cited. The tweet was deleted at a point, and before it was put back there. I think what we should focus on should be the developmental gap we still have in the country. The fact that most parts of this country does not even have basic health care. Maternal mortality is still the order of the day. Look at the story we took yesterday where a woman in an Abuja hospital, because of 28,000, had to lose her babies. Look at the story we also took yesterday about the plight of pregnant women in the country. How a woman in Akwa Ibom had to lose her child because there were no doctors on duty. So I think, lost her life. And the baby. So I think what we should focus on is the developmental gap, and not all of this bickering and trying to celebrate political scores. When I saw there that the Sokoti-Badagry road is what this government said, yes, we are deploying and doing. These were roads that were highlighted to have been done close to 40 years ago. And we are just doing it now. It's not a slap on our faces. The Sokoti-Badagry road ought to have been existed close to 40 years ago. Even this coastal road that we are talking about, do you know the years, over 20, 30 years? So I think it is a gap, the developmental gap that we are behind on, that we should be talking about. Not the bickering about sentiments of one region or the other. But I don't also blame those that are playing the politics, Because people in power today also play that politics against people like Jonathan. Those that remove subsidy today were those that called subsidy Jonathan's tax over 10 years ago. And it was not good for them to remove it then. Now they've removed it today. And their bragging is a point, is a political point. They scored a political point. But what Jonathan also said he wanted to do the same, when we were at a better position then, it was a big problem for them. They needed political capital. Right. So when people do something and it's done in return for them, I don't have pity for them. It's the kind of politics they too have played in the past. They should enjoy it, how it feels like. Even when they were playing opposition politics, they said worse than this now. APC did worse than, so why are they jittery now?
Okay. Dr. Bati, your take on these stories. Yesterday, we actually took the Festus Keyamo story for the first time, so this is a follow-up, and of course, we joined us.
Okay. Now, two things here. Now, about the eligibility of President Jonathan, which is very controversial. The issue is as follows. It's a matter of law, first. It's also a matter of politics. I don't know which one you want to place first or second. Now, the truth of the matter is that there has been out there in the public domain attempts by members of the People's Democratic Party, some of them, including the governor of Bauchi State, including the senator representing Benue South, including Professor Jerry Gana and others, saying that they want President Jonathan to come back where he never left the PDP. That point must be emphasized, to lead the party. And that also Mr. Peter Obi should return to the party. He is the one that left the party ahead of the 2023 presidential elections, should return to the party. The calculation, particularly with regard to President Jonathan, that he, having been president once before now, would, return to serve only one term, and that he will serve the interests of those in the northern part of the country who are saying, bring back our good luck Jonathan. So there is a tendency in the north that, look, to sabotage President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, to make sure that the APC leaves government and that Tinubu serves only one term. Their best bet will be a man like President Goodluck Jonathan, who has very strong international reputation, to whom many Nigerians have apologized for, the misconduct, for the misassessment, for the wrong, narrative about him in the 2015 general election. I know many people who are apologizing to him. Now they want to make up. They are now saying, oh, bring back our Jonathan, bring back our good luck, having experienced, years of bad luck under the APC government. So they say. I'm not the one making that statement affirmatively. Now, the issue that has now arisen from this is legal. Namely, Section 1371, sub 1 of the 1999 Constitution, Section 137, sub 3 of the 1999 Constitution. And those who are pushing that matter are saying that President Jonathan can now be sworn in twice as president. But there is a subsisting Federal High Court of Yenagoa case decided upon by Justice Dasham, that's his name, when two politicians went to the Federal High Court in Yenagoa and argued that President Tinubu, ahead of the 2023 election, because there were persons who were saying President Jonathan could run in the 2023 election, and Justice Dasham, quickly, in order not to go into legalese, said that, look, that amendment of Section 137, sub 3, does not apply to President Jonathan. It's a trite principle of law. Any sophomore student of law, will know that legislations, laws, enactments, statutes cannot have retroactive effect or retrospective effect. Section 137, sub 3, having been amended to say that a man who has been sworn in twice to the position of the president of Nigeria cannot run again, will not apply to President Tinubu. The position of the Dasham, which has not been appealed at a higher court of jurisdiction, is simply that the law cannot have retroactive or retrospective effect. In other words, President Goodluck Jonathan is qualified to run. And the fact, Justice Dashem also said in that particular case that he was vice president does not preclude him from running again. So on the surface of it, however, Chidi Odinkalo has written an opinion saying, look, this is a mischievous judicial system. You know, judges looking for favor from the Tinubu administration may want to use it, you know, to play the game one way or the other. That's Chidi Odinkalo's opinion. But we hope that if the APC uses this matter, you know, that the judiciary will stand up on the side of the truth of the law. Secondly, you know, there's an opinion by Onikekwa Braithwaite. Onikekwa Braithwaite in This Day Law Pages Today. She is the law editor of This Day. She's saying there's a lacuna between Section 137 sub 1, Section 137 sub 3. Well, she tried to define what the lacuna is. But the superior argument will lie in the court of Justice Dashem and the decision, the 2022 decision, which has not yet been appealed. However, in the midst of all of this, President Jonathan himself has not spoken. I know Robert Azibaola, his cousin, rejected the advice, the counsel given by third parties, particularly Festus Keyamo, SAN. And he says, well, nobody is soliciting for, you know, advice. President Jonathan himself has not come out categorically to say this is where I stand in this matter. Ikechukwu Eze, who is the current media advisor to President Jonathan, has also written a piece on the back page of This Day newspaper yesterday, you know, where, you know, he said, look, we are not looking for advice. The president can make you up his own mind. However, you know, that's the way it is. But we would like to hear either from Mr. President Jonathan or from Mr. Peter Obi. You know, all these speculations do not help the polity. They're not healthy, you know, for the polity. Very quickly, Nyesom Wike, right? That's his name?
Yes.
The
Minister of the
yeah. That's
Media Pali, yes.
That's the title he currently bears. Now, he is saying that if Mr. Peter Obi comes back to the PDP will be destroyed because Peter Obi doesn't have the character, having condemned PDP as a rotten party, to come back to the PDP. Wike is not in a position to talk about character. Okay? He is not the one to talk about character. In fact, if he talks about character, he should question his own character. I don't know why people have problems with basic intelligence and decorum. He goes on television and he says, you know, Peter Obi doesn't have character. Peter Obi left PDP and went to Labour Party. Now he's in ADC. In fact, it is Wike himself that destroyed the party. And he also says President Jonathan should not come and run on the platform of the PDP because he's a statesman. And all of that. He's not in a position to advise President Jonathan, just as he has made it clear that nobody can advise him. These are some of the issues in the last 24 hours, okay? And who is he to determine the destiny of the People's Democratic Party when he is already in another political party? And I blame the media. The media gives him platform to disparage other political opponents. Yesterday he was talking about Peter Obi, he was talking about President Jonathan, he was talking about Nasir El-Rufai. What gives him that moral high ground to talk recklessly and unintelligently? Because the media, what is the media looking for? The media, they are the ones who go to interview him, they are the ones who collect money to put him on the air. If he's talking about the FCT, yes, fine. But if he's disparaging other political opponents, the media has an obligation to give all the other persons that have been disparaged to have a right of reply. So we should not create a situation whereby, for monetary reasons, the Nigerian media is sucking up to a minister of the Federal Republic who, in my view, is overreaching himself. What is the other issue? President Tinubu says there is no second-class citizen. Yes, he's right. There should be no second-class citizen. Section 42 of the 1999 Constitution is very explicit. Nobody shall be discriminated against on any basis whatsoever in this territory called Nigeria. So President Tinubu, after Sunday Dare had issued a statement to say, the government is fair to everybody, Mr. Ononuga also issued a statement to say, look, in terms of appointments, we're fair to everybody. Now the president is saying it himself. And is restating his own oath of office. He has to be fair to all Nigerians, whether the man is from Sokoto or from Badagry or is from whatever part of Nigeria. That is what the president should say, but he should not just say it. He should walk the talk. He should prove it in a believable manner, in a sustainable manner, in a manner that Nigerians will believe that their president is saying the truth.
Welcome back, Dr. Obati. What did you eat in Abidjan? I take it. My wife was saying, what is this? I said, no, it's acheke. It's from cassava. I need a plate of acheke myself. I think I need it, and I'm sure you understand. I think I need a plate of acheke this morning. Okay. All right, I think you both, I don't even know what else to contribute to the conversation this morning. You both said it all. Well, let me just say a few things about some of the stories this morning. And the first one, of course, the big story, which we will still talk about later on today. We have a guest coming to look at the legal part of that conversation around whether or not President Goodluck Jonathan is eligible to run in 2027. But I think what this has shown is that President Goodluck Jonathan is a big, in capital letters, threat to the APC, or is seen as a big threat, because the conversations that have come out already, the people, coming out to even say that he cannot run, trying to discourage him, trying to speak out against him, shows that, and for me, that makes the race in 2027 more exciting. Right before now, it had almost been like, okay, so it's just a race for one person, the one party has the dominant effect, it's just going to be a walkover. But it's great to see perhaps a rise of the opposition, and a rise that is strong enough. I'm not saying yet, because like Dr. Bati and Rufai, you've mentioned, President Goodluck Jonathan hasn't yet come out to say whether or not he'll be running. But in the event that he does run, and with all these parties courting him, it means that the race in 2027 has become even more exciting. I recall in 2023, it was exciting because of the Obi factor. The Labour Party, the rise of the third force, and that really gave a run for the money for the two principal candidates and the two principal parties in the person of in the case of the APC and the PDP. And now we see another strong point in the elections for 2027. I do think the person who might get collateral damage might be Vice President Atiku Abubakar, because the emergence of President Goodluck Jonathan would mean that his votes from the north would be split, and also that opposition that is seen to be strong enough to face or to challenge the current president is strong enough in the person of President Goodluck Jonathan. I still think that Mr. Peter Obi has a good chance in terms of making it more vibrant. The more candidates, plausible candidates that we have, the better it is for our democracy, and the better it is for the people to have a choice as whom they believe would lead them best. Now, talking about leadership, I'll go over to what oh, by the way, to just show how big a threat is, there's an old video that's resurrected of the former First Lady, Mrs. Patience Jonathan, or Dr. Mrs. Patience Jonathan, saying that she didn't want to go back to the Aso Villa, and that she wants to just share love with her husband. She wants to enjoy peace. She's looking younger and fresher since they left the Aso Rock. And I see that has been circulating. I don't know which camp is promoting the circulation of this, almost as if to remind her and to remind President Goodluck Jonathan that you shouldn't go back, or remember how terrible it was. Also, I must also point out that in 2019, during the elections, one of the things that was an Achilles heel for President Goodluck Jonathan was the state of security in the nation. And I recall at that time it was get Jonathan out, get him out. A number of people, he did have his supporters, but people were looking for an alternative or someone who could rescue Nigeria from the spate of terrorism, and to be fair to him, 8 years down the line, I don't know if or 9, 10 years down the line, if the state of security has greatly improved to justify his, being ousted at the time or being removed at the time as a result of security. One of the questions I'd like to ask him, if he does run, is what would he do differently when it comes to tackling terrorism, tackling kidnappings, as we saw under his term, and how he would do it better. For me, those are the important questions to ask, and this will make for a more vibrant election cycle come 2027. Looking forward to that. Now, moving on to the conversation around, one region is benefiting more. In honest fact, if you look back, I don't think there's any administration since the return to democracy that hasn't been accused of this. So when a Yoruba man is in government, they say, oh, you're favoring the Yoruba people. When a Hausa man is in office, they say, oh, you're favoring the Hausa people. Therefore, I do believe there's a fundamental issue that surpasses politics, and that is the lack of trust or the deep disunity that we have as a nation, such that everyone thinks that the other ethnic group is working for their own people and is not a nationalist in terms of what is good for Nigeria as a whole. Now, if you look at the Nigerian motto that was adopted in 1978, unity and faith, peace and progress, and look at the pledge in itself, the word unity, to serve Nigeria with all my strength and to defend her unity, shows that this challenge of unity has been a matter that has been on for a very long time. And we have been pushing this cause and this case about unity and this sense of nationalism, as opposed to you first thinking of yourself as a Nigerian, when it comes to your ethnicity. This is what drives a lot of things. It's not just during this Tinubu administration. Even during elections, it is used as an easy tool by politicians to rule and divide the people and to cause, ethnic tensions, to favor a particular cause or favor a particular party. Until we get it right, we will continue to have subsequent leaders who will come in and people will continue to complain that, oh, you're not doing well for our region, and you continue to justify that actually I'm doing a lot of work. So my charge this morning is to push for unity. And I do think, as I keep mentioning, that the National Orientation Agency has a lot of work to do. If you look on X, the kind of rhetoric that comes out along ethnic divisions is we have a ticking time bomb on our hands, and we have a big problem on our hands with regards to how we see ourselves as a people, and how it's always about it's you versus us, your people versus our people. If we don't deal with that, each president will come out to keep giving out statements upon statements as to how he's not not partisan, but how he's not nepotistic in the choice of his projects or the choice of his appointments.